we have been joined in studio by former West Ham, Newcastle, Crystal Palace manager Alan Pardew. It is a while since I've seen you, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, Jim. Thank you. I'm good.
You're looking great. You're looking well. You guys go back a bit?
Yeah, our paths have sort of crossed briefly at certain times. One of the first games that my team, when I first bought Palace, was against his Reading in a pre-season friendly where they beat us 4-0, which I wasn't particularly impressed with. His mate Steve Coppell, Martin Allen and you standing on the touchline, reminding me of how little backbone my team had.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could have been more.
Different words they used at the time.
Well, actually, I do remember that very well because you come and stood behind Steve Coppell that day.
I did.
And I actually thought, oh dear, that didn't look good. You know, I said to Steve, all right, well, you're all right. You know, you two, is it all everything okay? It's sort of sent out.
The answer was no.
The old alarm bells, yeah.
So what were you doing behind Coppell?
No, I was watching the game. It was at the training ground. It was behind closed doors. And I just remember him and his and the description about our side. I think Martin Allen told me at a later stage that you guys viewed us as having no. It was a particular word I can't use on air, but no backbone. You can imagine what the word might have been.
Well, that's Martin Allen. That wasn't me.
Well, hang on
a
second. I do have that, and I'm not quite sure why my team and my manager don't. But you know, myself and Coppell just had different views.
Yeah.
Different views.
He's owners.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Listen, what are you going to do? Because you're back now. After taking jobs abroad, you were in Greece, you were with Ten Hag in Holland, technical director, and then manager at CSKA Sofia in Bulgaria. I mean, where are you at now after getting all that kind of experience, after being vastly experienced here?
Well, I have to say, after the West Brom job, where I've got to be honest, I felt I was let down there. In more ways than one, in terms of how the club and the playing staff and everything, how it went. It just didn't work. I just felt I needed a break. I wanted to take something completely different. But I'm a kind of guy that can't sit still, so I needed to work. So I thought I'd just have a little look across Europe, if I'm honest. And I didn't really sort of plan it or anything. I just sort of said I'll be open to offers. Then I'd come. They were really struggling. I took Chrissy Powell there with me.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed that at the start, and then we found some difficulties there. The team was struggling a little bit, and then so that didn't kind of manifest itself because COVID kicked in. So we kind of had to leave that job, and then I got this offer to do sporting director in CSKA Sofia,
Bulgaria.
Yeah, where
what was that like?
Well, it was bizarre because. I knew of them because of their dealings in Europe. You know, I remember them as being a great big club, of course.
Yeah.
And they said to me, look, would you like to do this sort of technical director's role? And I was, okay, well, that's interesting to me because then I'm kind of then stuck between Simon, the owner, and the manager, which obviously I've been. So I thought that'd be a good experience for me to do that. And I have to say I enjoyed it. Although, you know, some of the stories that I could tell out of Bulgaria, you know, are...
Is it crazy? I mean, I've heard it's crazy. What's the maddest thing about it?
Well, their passion and everything for the game is the same as England. They just do it. It's just in different ways that they show it, and sometimes not in the right way, as you'd imagine.
Yeah.
And you know, and we had that incident, unfortunately, at the end, which scarred it all. When we had this kind of a racial incident. Where the team were attacked, or the black players in the team, the African Caribbean players were attacked, and you know, in the end,
where was this on the field of play or in the training?
This was on an eve of a game. Yeah, we had lost the cup final, and they sort of decided that they were to blame, and so it was difficult. But the club were great to me, and I enjoyed my time there, and it was different. And then. After that, I decided to take a job in Greece, and that probably wasn't a great decision because that wasn't quite as enjoyable as CSK. But I think that whole process was about me trying to see if it's different, what's different about it, different cultures. Can you still do the learning process without speaking the language?
Yeah.
So it answered a lot of questions for me, and it also... I think enhanced me as a manager in terms of how to deal with what would have been a non-speaking dressing room.
Yeah, of course. Does it all come down to trust, Alan? If you feel, you know, like this fella was an owner who really put his heart and soul into his football club, a club that you know and love as well.
Yeah.
And I thought every manager would want to give Simon everything that he possibly could. In countries like Greece and Bulgaria, is trust a bit thin in the ground at clubs like that?
Well, the owners have a lot more say than in England, for sure. And
in what way? They want to pick the team?
Well, I wouldn't say they want to pick the team, but the process of players in particular, they feel that they can punish players, and that players should be punished. So, for example,
punished.
Yeah, when I say punished, like rather than, I don't know, if you was in England and you lost the game, the owner might get on the phone to you on a Sunday, or Simon might have picked up the phone on Sunday and say, look, what do you need? That was like awful yesterday. It was awful. What do you need? What do you want to need to get, to happen this week? Do you want to get someone in? Do you want to try something with a team? Do you want to do a night out? Something positive. In Greece and Bulgaria, it was very much they need to be punished. They need to be in morning and afternoon. I'm expecting you to be training them in the evening. Blah blah blah. And when you've got a group of players that are perhaps not on the sort of finances that you were lucky enough to have in England, I'm not talking about Premiership, I'm talking about Championship level. Players are really kind of under the power of the owner. They really fear the owner for their money, for their careers. Sometimes they stop their money. They stop some of the players' money, for example. Yeah.
Just stop paying them.
Yeah, stop paying them. And or your payment's late, and stuff like that. And as a manager, that is a really difficult situation to be in when you're in a dressing room trying to get the best out of players, trying to lift them. That's what a good coach manager should do, be able to motivate and lift. Under that scenario, it's very difficult, as you imagine.
Wow. I mean, listening to Alan there, I can imagine how nuts it gets overseas. And Alan would go into that with his eyes open, Simon, but there must be some pretty darn crazy owners out there with totally different agendas.
Yeah, I guess there is. I mean, there's a balance, isn't there, between facilitating a solution to a problem and consequencing those that have provided the problem. And if you're an owner that's sat there and players haven't done what they should do, if it's because you've gotten beat and the better side has beaten you and it's been an unfortunate set of circumstances, it's unreasonable behaviour.
Yeah.
I mean, the Italians are very similar. They believe in the principle of players. If games are lost and teams haven't done very well, I mean, you can look at some of the owners in Italy and they have a very similar view. I mean, you can look at the owners of Watford, they have a similar view about the manager, but that's a different dynamic completely. But it's a balance, isn't it, between... I mean, I don't think owners should be particularly near playing squads. I didn't want to be anywhere near mine, because what's the point of having him? I don't need him. There's no mixed metaphors or mixed messages. He's paid a lot of money to manage the players.
Yeah, and you prefer it that way anyway, Alan.
So they should be left to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And, the ownership contact that I've had across all my clubs has all been different, been very, very different, in terms of their integration with players. The new chairman, who's after Simon, is Steve Parish, of course. Is Steve quite close to the players. And he likes that. That's just the way he is personally. Mike Ashley was complete opposite. Hardly got involved with players at all. So you get that different. And as a manager, you kind of have to adjust to the owner. You have to kind of accept what they want to do, or accept some of their decision making or their process, and bring it into your management. And sometimes you get somebody in the middle as a technical director. Yeah. Which I had at Sophia at CSK, and I was in that role. And I actually like that role. I think that's an important role because you're trying to get the message even. You can absorb some of the nasty message from the owner that perhaps the manager doesn't need to know. Yeah. But still pass on the message in a slightly more football way.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I think that's a role that, particularly in the Premier League, is very important.
Right, it's an important role, and I agree with you. When you say we're let down at West Brom, by whom and on what?
Well, I don't think I want to share that on this particular show. And if I'm honest, I don't want to share it on any show.
You brought it up?
Yeah, no, because I genuinely feel that. That doesn't mean I have to share it, though.
We'll bring it up for them.
Well, because I think that I
Were you there when the players were behaving badly over in Barcelona?
Well, of course, yeah.
Was that on you, though?
Well, that's the point. You could say, was that my self-doing, that instant? But I don't think it was. In terms of what I was trying to do, new into a football club, trying to bring some camaraderie to the group, trying to bring us together to make us stronger for the running.
And senior players abused it, didn't they?
Yeah, and unfortunately that we had this incident. And actually, professional, really good professional guys. And it wasn't so much that particular incident that it was a massive problem, don't get me wrong, and those guys.
It's coming back to me now. I know what mean you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
it was the after. It was the
What was it, a bonding session or something?
No. It was like we had a night out, but that wasn't the night out. This was a curfew night. This was a night to stay in, and they went out and they stole a police car.
I remember it. They stole a police car.
Not a police car.
A taxi was it?
Taxi.
Right.
And but it wasn't so much. It wasn't so much. The incident was bad enough. It was bad enough.
Yeah.
It was the outcome of the incident with everybody else, how it all unfolded. Some of the players were really unhappy about it. Some players were like, okay, it's happened, let's get on with it. And it was difficult. It was very, very difficult. And I didn't enjoy it. And I didn't enjoy the ownership of the football club, and it's still the same. I didn't meet
Had
the
Jeremy
owner,
gone
for
then
example.
by then, had he?
Pardon?
Had Jeremy Peace gone then, yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember, Alan, actually, I do, now that you are talking about it, or you're beginning to put a bit of detail on it, I do remember being on Sky at the time and thinking, what's going on? So where are they? So West Brom, where are they? Where exactly were you again?
Barcelona.
In Barcelona.
Yeah.
And I remember here, a group of players have stolen a taxi. What? And I remember immediately then thinking of you, and I thought, how's he going to deal with being in the middle of all that?
Well, you obviously had the media backlash of that, which is and fans backlash. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So, but it was just how we dealt with it in the change room. I wasn't happy with it. I didn't think we dealt with it very well.
Right.
The group got fragmented. There was like a part of the squad over here and a part of the squad over, and I couldn't bring it together. Yeah. And therefore, you're not going to win games.
Well, to be fair to you, you didn't see anything like that coming.
No, I didn't see anything like that coming. I've got to be honest, but. I'm not totally innocent in the process of West Brom, because obviously you're the manager. It comes down to you, and the results weren't good enough. But that whole thing manifested itself. We weren't a great team at that before that incident. After the incident, we were like really struggling, and it was only until I think I got a bit tense around it all, and it all got very, very tense. The best thing for everybody was to leave, and that was reflected in results after. Because Darren come in, who is the lovely, lovely guy, who was my assistant, and they started picking up results. So there was the talent was there. We just the whole thing, it just didn't work. And that when you say to me why, and I'm saying that's why I was hurt, because I couldn't bring it together. So it's more of my pain of myself as much as anything else.
Understood. Did the fella get his taxi back? That's the thing.
Pardon?
Did he get his taxi back?
Yeah. Yes, he got his taxi.
He got it back.
Yeah. In fairness to the guys, they said to me they took it. They just wanted to move it down the road. Then they got cut in a one-way system. And, the story.
Before you know where you are, you're on the highway.
Tangent,
there's Madrid. Oh God, we've gone a bit too far. Okay.